Hey guys, welcome to Tech Tuesday by Woody. This week we're going to take a look at the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 memory subsystems. There's been a lot of attention to the use of DDR5 memory in the PlayStation 4 and ESRAM in the Xbox One. Let's take a look at what we're actually talking about. I'll break it down. It's going to be cool. First, we're going to talk about the main system memory on the Xbox One and the PS4. They do have a lot in common. They are both 8 gig RAM systems, which is a pretty good amount for a gaming console or gaming TV entertainment center type like console. They don't need as much RAM as your computer does, and your computer would do pretty well on 8 gigs of RAM. So both of them were fairly forward thinking when they supplied these consoles with a lot of memory by console standards. For comparison, it's about 16 times the memory in the previous generation. Next up, we talk about the memory bus. Every clock cycle, which these things operate on, the PS4 has many more clock cycles per second than the Xbox One, but every clock cycle they take 256 bits of data and transfer it from the memory to the thing that needs it. That's typically either the CPU, which makes lots of decisions, or the GPU, which just churns out graphics. Knowing what we know so far, we can calculate the memory bandwidth for each of these systems. And it's not that hard. You take the clock rate that I have up there in the top line, multiply it by the memory bus width, divide that by 8, and you're set. You can see the PlayStation 4 is about 2.5 times better than the Xbox One. And this begs the question, what the heck, Microsoft? How exactly do you intend to compete? So this is where the Microsoft guys come in to say, well, the Xbox One has 32 megabytes of embedded SRAM. That will save the day. Will it? Well, let's talk. Embedded SRAM, not that complicated. It's embedded static random access memory. Random access memory is any memory. It just means that you can pull it from the middle, the front, or the back, as opposed to like a queue where you always have to take it, say, the last thing you put in there is the first thing that came out, like your toy box or something like that. It's embedded, and that's going to help with the latency a ton. And it's static, which is a techie thing, meaning that you don't have to continually write the same thing to it repeatedly. Once you write to it once, it gets to keep it. But we're not going to focus on that very much. It's embedded, SRAM, and I'll tell you what makes it special. The first thing that's kind of special about this is that it has much better memory bandwidth, the thing we've been talking about, the ability to grab chunks of information and feed it to the CPU and the GPU. It sends 102 gigabytes of data per second, which is way better than the rest of the Xbox system RAM, which is 68 gigabytes per second, my mistake. On the PlayStation 4, though, it's sending over 176 gigabytes per second. Even the fast RAM on the Xbox One is not as fast as the fast RAM on the PlayStation 4. Does Microsoft have an answer for this? Let's talk about latency. The short track up top is like the Microsoft Xbox One. It's direct. From the time you send the first data down the pipe to the time it arrives is very short. It's low latency RAM. That's why they have it right on the chip as a cache. The bottom one is meant to represent the PlayStation 4. It's a little slower to get it from one place to the other. However, I'm sending more data down the line because the memory bandwidth is bigger. While it might take longer to get there, the amount that gets there is much more. So, after watching all of this, let's break it down. You probably want to know who wins, the Xbox or the PS4? The answer? The PS4. Maybe. Almost certainly. There are a few unanswered questions. The biggest one in my head is, will we be able to tell? The PS3 was slightly better in terms of graphics than the Xbox 360. And throughout their life cycle, they kind of battled back and forth. When Uncharted gets released, people think that that's a better system in terms of horsepower. When Gears of War dropped, it was better than anything we had seen on either console. In the end, I think the PS3 got a slight edge in terms of graphics horsepower, but in terms of playability, I really feel like the last generation was kind of a tie. Some games are better on the PS3, some games on the Xbox 360. In the next gen, we'll see. I think, again, the PlayStation is providing them with a slightly better piece of hardware, but there's the entire ecosystem. What kind of tools will Sony versus Microsoft give developers to work with? And then there's the cloud, which I think is a pretty cool way to end this Tech Tuesday and perhaps open the door for another one when we explain what kind of impact the cloud can really have on gaming. Not just consoles, but there's lots of people. The cloud is going to be huge. even outside the console world. So if you like this video, be sure to click on like, leave a comment, let me know what you'd like to hear about next. On the left are more videos just like it. It's my Tech Tuesday playlist. On the right, a video of the day.